Hi guys, I'm Mrs. Latham and I teach 9th grade math here in Cranston, and this is my 4th year of teaching. If you need me for anything, I am in room 3226, which is the 2nd floor of Cranston. Today we'll be looking at section 2.1, which is solving one-step equations, and specifically we'll be looking at adding and subtracting with a calculator. Our learning objective for the day is that students will be able to solve one-step equations using addition and subtraction with the use of a calculator. And then for materials, you will need a notebook, a writing utensil, and a calculator. The calculator we will be using today is a Texas Instrument TI-30X IIS calculator. They're about $10 that you can pick up at Walmart or Target. If you can't get one of these, a 4-function calculator will work just fine, or if you have a graphing calculator, that will work too. So, when we're solving a one-step equation, we have to perform the inverse operation to isolate the variable. We're going to be specifically looking at addition and subtraction today. So the inverse of addition will be subtraction, and the opposite is the same. So inverse of subtraction will be addition. So we have our first problem here. It's x plus 10 is equal to 23. So what I want to focus on is my variable and how can I isolate it. Looking here, I have an x, and I also have a plus 10 on the left-hand side. So to isolate my x, I have to perform the inverse operation of adding 10. So the inverse of addition would be our subtraction. Now, whatever I do to the left-hand side, to make it fair on the other side, I also have to repeat. So I'm going to subtract 10. When I go to simplify everything, my x is going to come down. Positive 10 minus 10 gives us 0, so I don't have to include that here. I bring down my equal sign, and then 23 minus 10. We could type into a calculator, or you could also use some mental math. What I'm going to do is some mental math, and I know for a fact that gives us 13. If you want to check your work, go ahead, plug it into a calculator, type in 23 minus 10 to give us 13. You could also substitute 13 in for x and say, does 13 plus 10 give us 23? And it does, okay? For the second problem, we're going to be looking at decimals. So we have negative 7.3 plus x is equal to 2.5. To solve this, we have to again find our variable, which is x, and then our number. So I have a negative 7.3. Therefore, to solve, I need to get rid of my negative 7.3. Even though there's a plus sign here, that doesn't really affect our number. That actually affects our variable. That plus sign is telling us x is positive. So what we have to look at is the negative sign in 7.3. The negative sign, very similar to subtraction. So to get rid of the negative, we're going to have to make it positive or add 7.3. And again, what we do to the left, we have to do to the right. I'm going to draw my line. My x will come down, so won't my equal sign. Negative 7.3 plus 7.3, that cancels out, so I'm going to cross them out. And then I can do 2.5 plus 7.3. And if we type that into our calculator, we get 9.8. Now again, to check your work, plug in 9.8 in where x is and see, will a negative 7.3 plus a positive 9.8 give us 2.5? If we've done our math correctly, we should get the same answer. So now, we're going to move on to fractions, but I'm going to show you some important stuff before we solve a one step. When we're working with fractions here, When we go to type them into a calculator, we have to click a specific button to make sure everything works. So, using our Texas Instrument, what we're going to do is we're going to practice typing in the fraction 1/2. So the first part is to enter in the numerator. Now the numerator is our number that's on top of the fraction. So our 1 is our numerator. And then to make sure the calculator knows we're dealing with a fraction, we have to click a button that looks like this. It's A, B/C. Also written right here. When we click that, we're telling the calculator this is a fraction. We need to keep those two numbers that we're working with grouped together. So think about it as our slash and our fraction sign. On the calculator, it's going to look like a right angle. Then the last step is to enter the denominator. So if 1 is our numerator, then that means 2 is our denominator. Okay? Now, if you're curious if you typed in the fraction correctly, what we can do is if we click the enter button on our calculator, it'll pop up with the fraction. I know it's hard to see on here, but it does show up as 1/2. So we know that we typed in the fraction correctly. So now we're going to take this and apply it to solving a one-step with fractions. So just as a little review, addition and subtraction, those are inverse operations. So up here, I have 2/3 plus x is equal to -3. X is on the left. We're adding 2/3, so we have to perform the inverse, which is going to be subtraction. So we are going to subtract 2/3 on both sides. X comes down, equal sign comes down. A positive 2/3 minus 2/3 cancels out because we get 0. And then now we have to do this. Our 3 here, we don't have to write as a fraction. We can leave it as a whole number. In our calculator, we are going to type -3. If you can't find the negative button on your calculator, it's actually right below the 3. So -3, and then we're going to type in minus, and now our fraction. So we're going to click 2, ABC, 3. And when we do that, we get -3 and 2/3. This is a mixed number. Some of your teachers might prefer this, or some teachers might prefer what's called an improper fraction. So that means we're getting rid of this number in front. If they prefer the improper fraction, what you just need to do is multiply the denominator by the whole number. So 3 times -3 gives us -9. And then we have to add the 2. Now when we're adding, you have to think about it like the whole number and this fraction are both negative. So we're going to do 9 plus 2 to get 11. But it's negative, and then our denominator comes underneath. Okay, let's do one more and then we're done. Looking over here, we have 2 fractions now, and this is a little bit different, right? On all the other problems, x was on the left. Well, this time x is on the right, but the process is still the same. Here, I have x minus 1/2. So I need to perform the opposite of subtraction, which is going to be my addition. So we will add 1/2 to both sides. The right side, or the 1/2 will cancel out. We're left with x is equal to, and we're going to go back to using our calculator. Now for this one, we're going to have to type in 2 fractions. So my first fraction will be 5, the ABC button, 8, plus 1, ABC button, 2. And when I click that, I get 1 and 1/18. Again, if your teacher needs you to write it as an improper fraction, we're going to do 18 times 1, which gives us 18. Then 18 plus 1 gives us 19, and then we bring down the denominator. Okay? And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of your teachers or to me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.